and that God's people, having worked together for His glory, brought us to a time when we were ready to move to the next level and accept responsibility for reaching the Iowa of the present and the future. The Missouri Baptist Convention had become strong in numbers of churches and in their mission, vision, and outreach, and it's really just a natural part of their work to continue to expand a little bit further north to territory where Southern Baptist work had not really yet begun. And so Iowa was a pioneer mission field for them, and in 1954 established a first church here in Anamosa, or near Anamosa, Iowa, the Fairview Baptist Church. And then the Wakanda Baptist Association in Missouri sent their superintendent of missions, Avery Wooderson, to spend 1 week a month to help guide the churches that were here and also plant new churches. And then in 1965, the association was formally started, and David Bunch became the director of missions for the state of Iowa at that time. And so it was one large association.
My father was Claude McFerrin, and so he moved our family to Waterloo, Iowa from Neosho, Missouri in 1960. The thing that I remember about my father's ministry is that his focus was on personal evangelism and building relationships. And you know, he was not the great pulpiteer, but he was a soul winner. He just used what he had, and I just appreciated that.
When I first came to Iowa in 1976, we had an association to the Missouri Baptist Convention. We were a part of their fellowship, met with them in their annual meeting, and encouraged us in our growth.
I think one of the things that was unique to Iowa, there was just a fellowship that was encouraging. You knew that when anything took place, for instance, that somebody would come alongside. I guess the best way to say it is, it's like family.
We came to the point where we felt like we were ready to take another step forward here in Iowa. So it was in 1972 that the Iowa Southern Baptist Fellowship was created. But then we went through some leadership changes and structural changes and other things with the associations, and as a result of that, we realized we weren't quite there. At about that time, we also called Dr. Jones to be our executive director. He was a long tenured pastor and brought a lot of pastoral experience and a pastor's heart.
He had gained wisdom through the years that was helpful to us in terms of going through the necessary steps that we had to in order to become a convention. He had an awareness of that. He had relationships with other execs throughout the convention that were beneficial.
He also brought great administrative skills, and he had great budgeting and fiscal skills in helping to manage our finances and help us to maintain strength and stability. I say that you know, the Lord brought to us in each phase of our development here in Iowa the leaders that were needed for such a time as those that they came.
It had been, like all things, a difficult struggle and purging and cleansing and healing and restorative time, and then finally emerging to feel like that we could be an independent Iowa-led convention.
So in the year prior to our constituting in 1995, we made a formal decision that we would move in that direction. So that when we came to the 1995 convention, we were able to make a formal recommendation that we constitute at the conclusion of that meeting as the Baptist Convention of Iowa.
It was exciting. We were in this building, and I mean, it was, you know, it was packed. They came from the east side of the state. They came from Davenport. They came from Leon. They came from from Shenandoah, they came from Council Bluffs, they came from Sioux City, they came from Ames. It was just an outstanding experience to be a part of.
It was a pretty excited time, and we were glad to be there on the third row and affirming and celebrating with the people of Iowa, the people of God.
The attitude was, well, I'd say first of all, it was one of great gratitude, but there was a great sense of optimism and enthusiasm about the future and good fellowship among those churches. And so there was this real sense of unity. And so there was a sense of accomplishment of having been able to do this together, what we never could have done on our own in those days.